Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Do-It-Yourself Budget Hot Rodding, Lady Mavericks Unite. In this particular episode of Lady Mavericks Unite, let's talk about your fuel system. And when I talk about your fuel system, we're going to particularly talk about, ironically enough, treating gasoline. Now, gasoline is a whole lot different than it was from when I first started driving to today. And even back then, when I first started driving, I heard a lot of the old timers say that gasoline is definitely not the gasoline from when they were younger. So things have changed, but not necessarily always for the better. Modern day gasoline, as compared to when it was, when I was first starting driving, is a whole lot dirtier and is very, very abusive to your fuel system and in some cases to your engine. So we need a way to treat the gasoline so it's not abusive to the fuel system or your engine. And I recommend doing this every 3 to 6 months, depending on how much driving you do. Okay? So, the first thing we need to talk about is, well, okay, you're saying that gasoline and is abusive to fuel systems. Well, I'll just change the fuel pump and the fuel filter every once in a while. This is not the days of Project Spirit, okay? Fuel pumps and fuel filters are inside your gas tank. So maintaining this equipment right now is super, super, super important long before you have to get to, fixing these parts, making them last, okay? So that we're going to talk about that. Now, the products I'm going to talk about today, first thing I need to tell you, I'm not sponsored by them. It's just products that I trust, okay? And once I say, okay, these are products I trust, we're going to talk about some that you might be familiar with, and then we're going to even talk about one product as compared to another product, and one of the products that I'll even be mentioning today, believe it or not, has a lot of controversy around it, and I really don't think the controversy is warranted, but I'm going to basically give you the better of the two alternatives, okay? So, first thing out of the gate, again, we're treating gasoline and we're making things last for a long time. So, Lady Mavericks, let's start off with basically a gasoline treatment, okay? Something that's going to help break up deposits and keep your fuel filter from getting clogged, and the heavy particles possibly getting past your fuel filter and tearing up your fuel pump. Remember, these parts that I'm mentioning are inside the gas tank in modern vehicles. On cars like Project Spirit, the fuel pump and the fuel filters, notice I said because she has two, are up inside the engine bay, real easy to change, but today, not so much. So, the fuel system treatment, or in this case, fuel injector / carburetor cleaner, STP, or most of the time I usually go with gum out, okay? And this is one that I recommend for all of you to get something like gum out or STP, carburetor or fuel injection cleaner. Why would I suggest that? Okay. Some of you are homeowners out there. Some of you ladies are homeowners out there, and you can use this in your lawnmowers, okay? Got a classic car, classic pickup truck, you can use it there too. You only have to keep one product on the shelf, and it'll still work in modern day vehicles, and usually pretty reasonably priced, okay? So that's a must, all right? And I recommend this for all vehicles. So these are the two products I recommend. Again, hashtag not sponsored. Along with that, we're getting into the cold months, all right? Which makes it very interesting when I'm out there trying to film for y'all. But I recommend a bottle of heat. Now, why would I recommend a bottle of heat? Okay. I don't care what type of gas tank you have. I don't care what material it's made from. As, you fill up your gas tank, and as it goes down a little bit, condensation forms at the top. Now, that condensation, that's water. It drips down into the gasoline, and then you hit in the bumps and everything, and it mixes around. Now, I already hear some of you saying, well, Prince Magnum, gasoline's an oil-based product. Yeah, you're right. But with all that churning and mixing, think of a vinaigrette for your salad, okay? If that's an oil base and a water base coming together and being churned around inside of, some sort of container, just like your gas tank. So that water mixes and gets sucked up into the fuel line and gets into the engine. Now, the amount that I'm talking about, not necessarily is a little bit of bad thing, but the amount that I'm talking about is really bad. It can mess up the internals of an engine, and you're talking about metal parts, and in some cases, cast iron engines. Even with aluminum engines, they've still got metal sleeve, still got some sort of a cast iron or steel sleeves that slip down in there. So this is very damaging to an engine, okay? And it messes up combustion. Water and fire don't exactly mix. So this can cause serious problems. So keep a bottle of heat and put a bottle in every once in a while inside your gas tank, and it removes the moisture. What's an alternative to this? Keep your gas tank full. Serious. I know that sounds ridiculous. Keep your gas tank full. And then you don't have to do this, which is why I recommend the bottle of heat, because most of us, we live paycheck to paycheck, so keeping a bottle of this on hand makes sense. All right, now, brings an oldie but a goodie. Ironically enough, good old Marvel's Mystery Oil. Now, a lot of you are familiar with this, and this is a product that has been around since 1923. A lot of us old gearheads know this product well, but most modern day young gearheads and car enthusiasts are familiar with this because guys will use this to break engines loose that have been sitting around for years. You put some inside there, and then and then all of a sudden the engine comes loose, and they can take it apart and replace a lot of stuff and get it all cleaned up, and saves the engine from some of the hassles we used to deal with in the old days. And that's what most modern gearheads and car enthusiasts would be familiar with a product like this. But this is the product, when it comes to the car world, has like a million uses, okay? I'm not kidding you. This really does have like a million uses. All right, what's one of the first things that we could, what's one of the things that we can use it for? Mix it with your engine oil. A little bit of this goes a long ways. And when it mixes with your engine oil, it helps bond to the internal parts, thus making your engine oil do its job a little bit better. I've seen engines, people swear by this, doing that, putting a little bit in your engine oil. Million-mile engines from old engines, believe it or not, this sometimes has a lot to do with it. But we're talking fuel systems. What does this do? Okay. In a car like Project Spirit, this helps lubricate your fuel pump. It helps break up deposits inside of your engine, and helps your engine run pretty dang smooth, because you can't get a lot of those carbon deposits built up in the combustion chambers, which is one of the reasons why I recommend it in modern day vehicles. Doing this every now and again, putting this product in, putting it in with your gasoline. Follow the directions on the back. And believe it or not, it'll actually help your fuel pump, because where is it located? You guessed it, inside the gosh dang gas tank. Hard to change. And again, it goes right up through the system and helps break up, deposits inside of your engine, carbon deposits, thus making sure your engine runs better. Now, no mentioning, the carbon deposits. There's some of you out there that are going to mention seafoam. I already hear it in the comments section. Prince Magnum, you can use seafoam. Now, I know there's been some other YouTubers that have covered this, but I'm going to cover this a little bit differently. And this is, seafoam is has got a few mixed reviews. And I've heard a lot of you say that you've never had a problem out of it. Now, barring, I'm not going to get involved in that controversial mixed review thing. If it's worked for you, great. Use the product if you feel comfortable with it. If you've had bad luck with it, don't use it, okay? Tomato, tomato. But for our Lady Mavericks out there, I'm going to tell you this product can be used in your engine oil. It can be used in, in treating, a tank of gasoline, and does more for your vehicle than seafoam, and it's usually about $2 to $3 cheaper than seafoam. Okay? So I'm going to talk about economics in this case. I'm not going to bash seafoam because obviously it's worked for somebody. That's why they continue to use it. So in this particular case, Marvel's Mystery Oil does a whole lot more uses than seafoam, so I recommend it for your vehicles. And again, I'm not going to get involved in the, that whole controversy of, seafoam does this. Well, Marvel's Mystery Oil does the same job. And there's actually been a guy who has actually proven that that Marvel's Mystery Oil does the same exact job that seafoam does, and this is cheaper. Okay, so that's where we're going to go with that. So here in just a moment, we're going to go out and we're going to treat, a tank of, we're going to treat a tank for Project Lena and, make her run a little bit smoother. So we're going to put both, all three products in and help her fuel system run a whole lot smoother. Alrighty, there you have it. Really quick, whenever you're doing these products, it's kind of hard to show because, it's just me doing the filming these days. When you go to the gas station to put these products in, Put the products in, then put the gasoline in. Why would I suggest that? Because it helps churn everything around and kind of helps mix everything up. And, basically it just makes, because sometimes these things sometimes have a tendency when they go in, they don't kind of disperse the way that they're supposed to. Kind of like, sometimes, when you're making certain foods, they kind of recommend, stirring it around at a certain, just like same thing, just like whenever I'm doing certain foods and making certain things here on the Prince Magnum channel, I'll mix the dry goods with the dry goods, and, it's that same process of stirring things up and making sure that everything gets, so just make sure that you put the product in first, and, and then, then put in your gasoline after you get the products in, okay? Really quick, I want to talk to you all about the Patreon, the Patreon here for the Prince Magnum channel. Consider becoming a member of the High Mileage Club. When you become a member of the High Mileage Club, we're able to put back into the channel. All the proceeds go for, Project Lena, Project Spirit, and possibly getting some new equipment here on the channel. And eventually, hopefully at some point, it might even help me go part-time so I can continue to provide more content just like this. Also, some of you out there, we have merchandise. Some of you want something to hold in your hand, not just content. You want something to hold in your hand. Hey, maybe you, might want to check out the Teespring store and get yourself some Prince Magnum channel merchandise. Awesome, stuff right there. We're actually talking to a few folks who maybe getting some, getting some stuff that we can put, put back on the Prince Magnum channel, on the Teespring store. So new products that aren't from someone who used to put, have their own segment, here on the channel, And that brings, so now that we've talked about the Teespring, we've talked about Patreon, all right. That brings us to a good stopping point for this particular video. Lady Mavericks, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy, making content that'll help you, keep up with your vehicles and kind of give you your own spot in the automotive world, because you ladies deserve it out there. So with that being said, for all of you out there, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is, just do something with yourselves. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, every last one of you, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.